Yeah, Wisconsin. Incidentally, Gingrich has been doing similar things, making wild statements. No, he doesn't. He makes a wild statement, and then he backpedals a little. When they said to him, you shook hands with Clinton on getting after these people, the lobbyists, who are dictating letters, lobbyists who are writing laws. These lobbyists are writing laws for the American government. Congress is not writing laws, the lobbyists are writing laws. And so Gingrich and Clinton shook hands on television. Everybody saw them do it very recently. Now they say to Gingrich, well, when are you going to appoint your committee? He says, wait, don't rush into these things. We got to think about it. We got to examine it. We got to think about it. How about the commission? You said you were going to appoint a commission. Well, we're not in, don't be in a hurry to do these things. Gingrich said this only about a week ago. He said, don't be in a hurry to do these things. We got to think about it. We got to examine these things. We got to know what we're doing. We don't want to make mistakes. And you say to yourself, this man's a hypocrite.
You want to cut off a minute?
And these are things that are taking place.
Lana, do you have any questions that you want to ask about the pest?
What did you think of Eisenhower at the time?
We liked him.
Everybody liked Eisenhower.
We loved him.
Really? But he was a Republican.
Didn't matter. It didn't matter.
You didn't vote for Eisenhower.
I didn't vote for him, no, but we liked him as a general. He was a nice guy. And he had a nice uniform.
The slogan was, I
like
like
And he had a girlfriend that nobody knew about till much later.
Yeah. Talk about Harry Truman. You didn't
Harry Truman at first was ridiculed. You know, he used to be a partners with somebody as a haberdasher. He was a haberdasher.
Do you know what a haberdasher is?
He used to sell men's shirts and underwear and things like socks, ties, things like that. And they used to make fun of him.
And he used to defend his daughter, Margaret Truman, for her singing and everything else. If anybody criticized her, he'd get mad.
Oh, he was furious. You get after Margaret Truman and you find Harry Truman on your neck. He defended his family very, very strongly.
But he turned out to be an excellent president.
He was good and he had a lot of guts. It took a lot of guts to drop a bomb on Japan. It took a lot of guts to do that. A lot of people said don't do it. A lot of people said don't do it. They said it's a terrible weapon.
How do you feel about that?
What's that?
How do you feel about the bomb?
Oh, I wish they had done it sooner. I wish they had had the bomb sooner. My feeling was this. The Japanese people attacked other countries in Asia, Singapore, Malaysia, China. They attacked Korea. They attacked a number of these Asian countries, and they were ruthless, absolutely ruthless. Among the American soldiers, I was told that if they took 20,000 American soldiers as prisoners of war, I don't think 10,000 came out of it alive. They would kill more than they would release. They were very cruel, very vicious. And there are stories, and if you read the history books, there are stories of forced marches which were terrible. The Japanese didn't care. And you know, they took people and enslaved Koreans in Japan. They were really not a very nice people.
Can we talk now?
Yes.
Well, when I was younger, maybe 18, 19, 20, and kids that I knew, we were interested in music, symphonic music, opera, and so on. And we used to go to the Lewisstone Stadium for 50 cents, and we saw beautiful concerts. Many people like to go to the Metropolitan Opera. If they couldn't afford to pay for the regular tickets, they pay $1 for standing room. And they had concerts in the park, at NYU.
On the mall.
On the mall. They had, we enjoyed going to museums. Metropolitan Museum always had good pictures. We enjoyed, a very big and important thing was going to the Museum of Natural History. What else could
As a matter of fact, I'm reminded that when the New York Post ran specials, they used to sell classical phonograph records, long-playing records, for about $1 a piece. They were very cheap, very, very cheap. And they had some of the finest music ever recorded by anybody, and we used to buy these records. The young people of our age We were not smoking marijuana, and we were not doing any of those dopey things, and not, all these crazy things you see kids do today, shaving their heads and stuff. No, we were collecting the finest music available, and we were getting it at a low price. Everybody had collections. We had high-fidelity radios. My brother built one for me.
Books were very important.
Books were very important
People
with
were
us.
great readers.
And we had collections of books. I can't forget how many books we used to have at one time.
Excuse me, I think Susan, don't you or did you at one time have the books that I had? The set of Dickens and Mark Twain?
We had Dickens, we had Mark Twain, all things like that. In those days we were in for mostly classical things. They were classical.
At least the people we knew.
They weren't garbage.
Our friends.
Yeah, they weren't garbage. They were really fine music. We used to collect art pictures. You remember Sam Altman?
I don't think they were doing that in Biloxi, Mississippi.
Well, I don't know, but I remember Sam Altman. He had a wonderful collection of the finest art. Literally hundreds and hundreds of pictures of the finest art. Fine art. He collected them. We had
and
volumes.
we got to learn, when we went to museums, it got so that I could recognize the style of Picasso and Gauguin and Van Gogh, and I was able to recognize it from the style. Pictures I had never seen before. What else?
Those were the things that many young people did.
Not everybody was that way, but at least my friends.
Many young people, Laura, many young people. We did things like that. Today, the kids seem to have a feeling that I want to have this and I want to have that, and I got to have this and I got to have that. It gets to be extraordinary. We used to play with makeshift toys. We made our own games. We made our own toys. We didn't have any money to buy all these things. And so we lived very comfortably and we enjoyed our lives. As I look back, we may have been very, very poor, but we didn't know we were poor. We were just poor. Life in those days was very, very trying. Financially, we had a miserable time. There was never any money in our house.
Well, we weren't that bad off.
My father used to make my clothes. And you can imagine, my father, a very, very fine tailor, used to make my clothes. But in making my clothes, first you had to buy the material and then buy the ingredients and everything. Never had the money. So they used to say, a shoemaker's kid never goes around with shoes that are, they have holes in his shoes. And a tailor's son never has a suit. There's a lot of truth in that.
Yes, but when I hear stories from you, they sound much poorer than my growing up.
Yeah, well,
I think you were more deprived than we were.
but we didn't know it. We didn't know it. Did you live on the lower floors when you moved into a house? Or did you have to walk up 4 or 5 flights?
We walked up 2 flights.
2 flights. We had to walk always 4 or 5
But that
flights.
was a matter of choice. Mama didn't want to live too low down. They wanted a light apartment.
But 2 flights are not a lot. We were never on the 2nd floor. Never.
Yes, but we lived in a better house. We did. You lived in the kind of tenement house in Harlem.
Yeah.
No, we lived in a better house.
But as I
With
said
a
before,
courtyard.
we never knew we were not well off. Maybe that was lucky. Eh? What do they say? Where ignorance is bliss, 'tis folly to be wise. So we lived that way.
Any other questions?
Well, I mean, that's just like early growing up, or maybe even teenage years, like continuing on through City University, or Hunter College, all the way up. Like, because I know, like, for instance, at that time jazz was beginning to take all those big bands and stuff like that.
Oh,
the
big band era, that was...
They were wonderful. Those big bands were
they
wonderful.
were gorgeous bands.
What time period did they flourish?
And they went all over the world.
No, but what time period?
What time period? Again, I can't give you a time.
Well, when?
After the war, really. No, during the war too. During the war.
No,
I think 1920. They had that jazz craze for a while. Remember?
No, but we're talking about the big band era. When they had.
I would guess 40s, 50s, maybe 60s.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Around the 50s.
Yeah. They were
40s
wonderful. Those bands were wonderful.
But I asked Ben Altman what was the reason for the demise? They're such great bands. And he said, money, it was very expensive to pay them.
They had to pay union wages.
And then the Beatles came in, and the new style, like they had 4 people.
Well, the Beatles, well, you see, that was a beautiful bit of selling for the Beatles. These crazy kids came over here. Some of them sang very well, I guess. But girls were induced to meet them wherever they went. The girls, there would be thousands of girls all over the country running to meet the Beatles. This was an organized
Yes,
thing.
but this
How
was
about
then.
the time of Frank Sinatra when he first started in the Paramount, the people be
They'd
so
wait online.
excited, waiting online,
And Elvis Presley.
dancing in the aisles.
Presley was another one, yeah.
What was like your reaction to the advent of the new like rock and roll and